On this week's edition of Wildcat Weekly, the Monologue Show and the MV Echo. All this and more coming up next. I'm your host, Civil Faisal. Even though some students are living in person and some are at home, the MV Echo is still going strong. Stands with the story and this with the class.
The Echo is the student news site here at Neuqua Valley. It is entirely student-run where writers and photographers work together to cover local or even national stories. However, the production process has been unfortunately stunted from the coronavirus.
But we had to figure out a way to just go totally online. We used to, I know last year, had kind of made the shift from a monthly newspaper to a quarterly magazine. And we kept that tradition alive last year. And now this year we shifted to totally online. We have, a different system that we use now for how the workflows of stories go with, people pitching stories, assigning stories, writing them, editing. That whole process has gone totally digital. We still put out our quarterly magazine, but those are just now digital PDFs that we post on our website. It has made covering certain news stories difficult. We were hyper aware of, COVID restrictions, with students attending events to actually cover them. So now that we kind of have a better understanding of COVID and how, now that certain restrictions are being lifted and, we're being allowed to attend more in-person events, now we can actually do more formal reporting where we're attending something, reporting on what it was.
Despite the circumstances, the Echo has not stopped producing thought-provoking articles sure to inform and entertain audiences. To check out some of the many articles, head to nvhsecho.com, where you can find dozens of entertaining and relevant articles. Also, check out their social media pages at NVHS_Echo on all platforms. The Echo is always open to new members for anyone interested. Be sure to support this professional and student-run news site, and for Wildcat Weekly, I'm Sam Drake.
The theater department has gone through many struggles this year to keep COVID under control. However, they continue to face amazing shows. And these on the spotlight on this year's Monologue Show. Many changes have been made to the theater department this year. However, one thing has stayed constant: the student-produced Monologue Show. One question you may be asking is, what is the Monologue Show?
Monologue Show is a show where writers, even people who aren't writers, get to express themselves. It is a chance for teenagers to show their true colors and write about anything they want. I tend to write a little bit more on the comedic side, but I know a lot of my friends write poetry. Some people do songs. My 8th grade year, somebody even played the ukulele, so it's all about expression.
While the significance of the show still thrives, many changes have been made to the annual performance.
So rehearsals this year are all online for the most part. So each time you have a 15-minute slot with Mr. Rossi because there are so many different acts. The week prior to the show showing, we'll actually go into the black box to record and actually perform it. It'll be recorded then, and then Mr. Rossi and the team will put all those performances together, and that's what we'll show on those nights.
The Monologue Show has adjusted to COVID-19 guidelines, but some traditions are just too hard to break.
Some traditions I have seen throughout the years of Monologue Show is there would be awards. We do awards after the show for the seniors. They usually do it after the last show, and Mr. Rossi would talk about each senior, what you contributed, who you are as a person. It was just kind of a special way to wrap up Monologue Show.
Make sure to tune in to NVHS The Monologue Show on YouTube to watch the performances from March 11th through March 13th. And for Wildcat Weekly, I'm Emily Baptista. Despite the ongoing pandemic, Neuqua's choir, band, and orchestra are offering ways to keep people listening to music. See if they have what it takes.
Band and choir both share unique experiences while playing in a pandemic. However, it has come with their fair share of challenges.
The pandemic has been extremely hard on the performing arts, right? Because our whole thing is gathering with other people, creating this art with people in an ensemble, and then doing that for a large group of people, right? So we perform it, and so we have these targets of these performances, and without those, it's just been very, very different. But I think the biggest change has just been most of our musical lives is learning how to take our talents and our sounds and blend them with other people. And in this setting, it's so hard to hear other people, and most of the time you can't. So I think that's probably been the biggest thing, is just the loss of the people element.
Our rehearsals are difficult because everything that we do is based on sound and what we hear. And with Zoom, there is a lag in sound, so students are rehearsing on mute. And I am teaching them and I am conducting them, but I can't hear back what they're doing, which is why we have the recording through Soundtrap. And that has been a challenge, but it also has had some benefits in that I think it's making our singers become more independent musicians.
While band and choir share similar experiences with playing through these tough times, the orchestra class has been slightly different.
Yeah, I think we're a little bit lucky in that we don't have to breathe to make our sounds, right? So we don't need the special masks that the band or the choir has. So in that sense, I think we've been able to maybe do a bit more playing than some of those other ensembles. So we were lucky in that sense. And we also do have, much like the choir does, more similar instruments. So I have a lot of arrangements that'll work with any 4 kids that are in my room. We can make an ensemble. Music is meant to be shared, right? We come together, we come to concerts, we listen to music, we dance, we do all of these things together. And not being able to share that is really challenging.
For future information regarding upcoming performances or activities, visit www.nequamusic.com and click the tab you'd like to visit at the top. And for Wildcat Weekly, I'm Xavier Harris.
Colors for Change is an organization aimed at providing a safe enough place for underserved communities. Also shows that they've been able to contribute to mission in this pandemic.
Colors for Change is an organization created by NEQA students in an effort to give back to those who need it.
So Colors for Change, the idea actually came to me when I was collecting supplies for a different nonprofit. I had already fundraised money for them, and they're basically a nonprofit that focuses on improving maternal and infant health. And so along with the funds, I wanted to send some supplies, and my mind immediately went to Colors. So from there on out, I just thought of, having my own organization and sending to more nonprofits than just the one. And so I recruited a team of students that I knew would particularly feel passionate about the cause and would definitely want to work towards creating a larger organization. And that is kind of how Colors for Change came to be.
Although the pandemic did impact the organization's efforts, that still did not stop them from pushing through and continuing their mission.
To help out our organization, usually we have volunteer sessions where anybody can come and help us sort supplies and make boxes that we can donate then to the different facilities. But right now, because of COVID-19, we obviously can't have large gatherings in any of our houses. So what we've kind of been doing is each of us have had taken a box and sorted the colors on our own. So if you'd like to volunteer and help us sort colors, we could arrange like picking up or dropping off so that we could get those colors sorted, because we definitely have a ton of supplies that need to be arranged.
And the best part of the journey, you may ask? Seeing exactly how their contributions had an impact on many lives.
So the moment that I kind of realized that we were starting to have a positive impact on people was when our first shipment went out to kids in Jamaica. We actually got photos back from the school where they were receiving the donations. And I think that's when it kind of started to set in that what we were doing was actually going to real people. I think in the beginning, it was very much like getting work done and trying to make sure everything was right. But I think when we finally received photos back, that's when it kind of hit me that we were making a real impact.
If you would like to make a difference and help out with donations or sorting the coloring utensils, you can contact Colors for Change on Instagram at colors.forchange, or you can head to www.colorsforchange.org and click on the Contact tab for more contact information. And for Wildcat Weekly, I'm Lexi Mugalu.
The dance team is going to state. Good luck to them as they perform in their virtual competition this weekend.
Thank you for watching this edition of Wildcat Weekly. Before we let you go, we have a special interview to share with you. Last month, Stephen Scott and Melissa Michelle were given the opportunity to participate with two graduate students in an auction interview with Representative Karen Underwood. The theme for the interview was Bring a First Responder to the Future. The students had the opportunity to ask Representative Underwood questions about her journey as being a first responder and the obstacles she faced. Enjoy the interview.
Good afternoon, everyone. We would first like to thank you for attending this momentous occasion as our
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
As our students have the opportunity to interview our illustrious and trailblazing Congresswoman Lauren Underwood. Congresswoman Underwood, we honor you for being intentional and purposeful to ensure that our voices are heard in the 14th Congressional District of Illinois. We thank you for giving our phenomenal students the opportunity to learn more about you and what it means to be a first responder to your future. Today, we have 4 young ladies from Glenbard District 87 and Indian Prairie District 204 who are excited to engage in dialogue with you. Again, thank you, and I'll turn it over to our ladies.
Hello, Congresswoman Underwood. My name's McKenna, and I'm a junior at Glenbard North High School. And first off, I would just like to say thank you for taking your time and doing this interview with us. So let's jump right in.
Okay.
The first question I have for you is, how would you say you've applied your skills as a professional nurse and even a first responder to your position as a representative in Congress?
Well, McKenna, it's nice to meet you. Thank you for having me. So I'm a registered nurse, and that's how I approach everything that I do. It's from this perspective and commitment to improving the health and well-being of the American people, making sure that healthcare is affordable and accessible, and that no community is left behind, which we've seen for decades, centuries even, in this country. And so one of the things that I was most surprised by when I first decided to run for Congress was people would come up to me with these really, in moments of vulnerability, sharing intimate details about their lives and asking for help. And the interaction was so similar to my interactions with my patients as a nurse. So in nursing school, very early on in our clinical training, we had to learn how to connect with our patients. We had to learn how to build a rapport. And oftentimes in that patient's room, like in an inpatient setting, you may have 2 minutes, maybe, to be able to do this. And so we were taught to walk into the room, look into their eyes and say, "Hi, my name is Lauren and I'm your nurse today. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Tell me about your pain." If the patient is nonverbal, you do that with a family member. And it's a very brief interaction, but it's meaningful. And that's how so many of my interactions with my constituents are across this community. And it's really taken me by surprise because as a nurse, I found it to be, very rewarding, obviously, but also like that interaction to be draining over the course of a shift, right? Because you're just giving and emoting. That's what I call it, emoting with your patients. And so I can sometimes be drained after interactions with constituents when I start to do that emotional connection in the same way. It's very similar.
Okay, so my name is Faith Lowe. I am a senior at Glenbard North.
Very exciting. Senior year.
Yeah, I want to thank you for coming to speak with us today. It's a true pleasure. So my question for you is, when you were running for office, who inspired you the most? Was it your family, Black people, your community? Who?
Well, I was inspired because our congressman at the time wasn't honest about his intentions to take away healthcare coverage from people like me. So I have a pre-existing condition. I have a heart condition. I was diagnosed with it in elementary school. I've told you all that I'm a nurse. And then I've also worked to implement health reform. I worked to implement the Affordable Care Act for several years. And so, when he made that promise, I believed him because it was personal. And then within a matter of weeks, he went back on his word, and I felt betrayed. And I felt that we deserved better, particularly on something so important as healthcare, right? He had this like cavalier attitude as if it didn't matter or that people would just move on. And it's like, no, we are literally talking about life and death for a lot of people in our community. And so that's really what inspired me. It's this sense that, you know, we had been wronged. And that, you know, my opponents, I was in a primary election. You all know what that means. So as Democrats, right, there were 7 of us running, and these 6 guys couldn't talk about healthcare in a compelling way. And I knew that it was important to me, but it was also really important to my community, and that they were counting on me to step up and be forceful and, you know, fight. And so we did.
Hi, my name is Salima Scott, and I'm a sophomore at Neuqua Valley High School. And thank you so much for joining us today and letting us interview. And I have a 2-part question. So my first question is, what is the biggest obstacle you've had to face thus far in your career?
Well, my biggest obstacle in terms of my campaigns, the hardest thing to do was finding staff, like people to help me. And that's something that caught me by surprise, because I thought the hardest thing was going to be raising money. And we've had to raise a lot of money over the years. We've had to raise like $12 million I've raised. It's a lot. And I'm like a regular person, so this is not me giving $12 million, okay? And so that's been hard. I'd say overall in my career, I've had a non-traditional career. I've created a pathway that hopefully others can follow. But I pursued my interests relentlessly and, you know, was curious and ambitious and didn't take no to be like a solid no. It just was a soft no. And, you know, we would find a way to get to yes. And, you know, found opportunities in places that others would have just moved on. And so an example for you is when I was in my first, you know, well, not my first job, but my job working in the government to implement the Affordable Care Act, there was no professional development. So usually when you guys finish high school and you decide what career you'll be in, you'll have to do these things called professional development, teach you about management and leadership and how to do your job better. Well, that didn't really exist for my job, but I knew that I needed, you know, more coaching and training to grow. And so they told me, they're like, Lauren, we'll let you have all the time off you want to do this professional development as long as we don't have to pay for it. So it either has to be free or you have to pay for it yourself. Well, I was like, great. So I went and found every free training program and I went, and they gave me the time off. And, you know, for me, the barrier wasn't the money, right? Because these are free programs. It was having the space and availability and, quite frankly, support to be able to grow my skill set, right? And so I think that some people would just be discouraged and say, well, you know, my job won't pay the tuition. I'm just not going to do it. And I'm like, let's find a way to do it. Let's apply for some scholarships and you know, do it.
Thank you. And my second part to that question is, what advice would you give to your past self as an African-American woman attending a predominantly white high school?
Oh, yes. Okay. I have all kind of thoughts. I wish we could just do a whole session on that. I think my first is you're enough. You are smart, you are capable, you are beautiful, you are fine. You know, you have all the social skills you need. You're not going to be this walking billboard that says, I live around white people. And folks will not judge you for the rest of your life because you didn't grow up in the hood. And that's how I felt. I'm not saying that's how you feel. That's how I felt. And so, you know, I would just do that like reassuring part. The second thing that I would tell myself is that I would have opportunities in life to fill that cultural void that I was seeking. And even if I couldn't get it at Neuqua Valley, that there would be opportunities to come later down the line. And for me, that came through my sorority. I'm an AKA, and some of my best friends are from my experience in joining my sorority. And then also, you know, but that happened senior year of college, right? So there's a long time for me. It might not be like that for you, but you'll be fine. That's what I would tell myself. You'll be fine. You'll be thriving, and it will not even be a thing.
Hello, Congresswoman Underwood. My name is Rosalind Zhao. I'm a junior at Neuqua Valley.
And I first want to thank you so much for coming here and taking some time out of your day to spend some time with us.
Mhm.
So now that you're in office, what is the driving force that motivates you?
Well, I only get 2 years to do my job. And so 2 years probably seems like a long time for you, right? If you're a sophomore, you're like, man, I am never going to graduate. 2 years, like, oh my God, it seems like forever. Or if you're if you're a freshman thinking about 2 years prior, you were just in 7th grade, and you're like, that was so long ago, right? So much has happened. But for me, 2 years feels like not a lot of time at all. And so the key is to try to be as impactful as possible in this 2-year term. Because as you know, in our community, everybody doesn't believe what I believe, right? Everybody doesn't share the same political values and goals. And so there's a real likelihood that I lose this next election. I mean, it is real. And we're going to work hard to make sure it doesn't happen. But I am very aware of that reality. And so I try to make the most of the time that I have, because I wasn't even supposed to be here. People thought it was like a joke when I said I was running for Congress. They hit me with the bless your heart treatment, okay? Like, oh, that's cute. Bless your heart. And then when we won, they were like, what? And then when we won again, they were like, what? And so, we have to make the most because they are coming for me. And so that's what motivates me. It's like, I have this long list of things I want to do. So my staff, they're like, Lauren, I don't think that we're going to be able to do all of this. You're going to have to prioritize. I'm like, well, this is the priority list. After these 20 things, there's another 100 that are lesser priorities, right? And so I think that a lot of folks don't have that sense of urgency about the work, and they're not as passionate maybe about making the change. But I know what it means, not just for me, but for our community to be able to have this opportunity to make a difference. And I'm trying to do as much as possible.
Another question. Although the 116th Congress was one of the most diverse that we've had, how can we continue to expand this diversity? Not just stop here, but how can we push it further?
Yes. So I got elected and sworn in when I was 32. And I was the youngest Black woman to ever serve in the Congress, House or Senate. Prior to my election, the youngest Black woman was Barbara Jordan. Do you know her? No? Okay, well, look her up. She's a boss. But she was elected in like the 70s. And so it had been a long time since we had a young, powerful voice representing young women. And I just say even broadly young women of color, right? Because it's just me and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That's it. In the Congress. And so think about how many young women there are in this country and how they try to legislate our lives, right? Our reproductive rights, education, how much we get paid, this discussion around the minimum wage and student loans, right? Like there's so many issues. Climate change, right? That's our future. And it's up for debate and discussion. And for so long, we, and I mean we, I'm putting myself with y'all, have not had a voice in this institution. That's a problem. And so where do we go? We need more young people. We need more. And I'm a millennial. Y'all are not. So I am like old. We need Gen Z to run for office and win. And not wait till you all are like 40 or 50 to decide to run, right? We need y'all to like be even earlier than me and AOC.
As mental health continues to be a taboo topic in the African American community, how do you, as a Black woman, manage your mental health in a stressful position like yours?
It's hard. It's hard. I found that the key for me is getting enough sleep. For others, it might be exercising or time with friends. I've been a terrible friend. I mean, just awful. And my friends are so good to me that they still love me because they know why I can't hang out. But I just miss things. I miss birthdays. I miss weddings. I miss births. I miss people's parents are dying because, this is a thing that happens in my age group now. And I just miss it. And that's hard. But I think that the most important thing that I do is try to get enough sleep every day. I also have had really tough times in this job. And so I got a counselor, and, I couldn't sleep, and I was really questioning my judgment, and I was, just really stressed. And he was helpful. And I would encourage anybody who just needs to talk, needs some support. There's no shame in getting help. It is so necessary for me to be a high functioning, impactful, effective leader. And I'll tell you, when I was at NEQA, that's when I first got a counselor. We had a school social worker. I think you guys still probably have them. And I'm sure you do at Glenbard too. And I would have weekly appointments with her my senior year when I was applying to college, because I was stressed, like the idea of change and the uncertainty. And I was just nervous and unsure. And so I had these weekly standing appointments, and it made all the difference. And so that experience taught me the value in having that kind of a therapeutic relationship with somebody, so that when I felt those feelings coming back again during my first term in Congress, I knew where to go to get the help.
Thank you, Congresswoman Underwood. We're going to have our last question, which is question number 8. So Rosalind, take us away. Thank you.
Yes. So what are the best ways for Black women to get involved in their communities and into politics like you?
Well, you can get started right now. We need you. We need your ideas. We need your leadership. We need your voices. You're not too young. You're not inexperienced. You are not, whatever doubt you have in your mind, right? Like, oh, if I only had this title, if I only had this job, right? No, you are great. You can be a volunteer. So I was your age when I first got started. The mayor of Naperville had set up a program that allowed high school students to get appointed to local boards and commissions. So when I was 16, I got appointed to a 1-year term on the Fair Housing Commission in Naperville. Got reappointed my senior year, and I loved it. Opinionated. I have ideas. I like to be in the mix. And I was just learning about something that I didn't know anything about. And it was so fun. My sister, I have a younger sister. She's 2 years younger than me. She got appointed to the zoning board, which was in some ways even more interesting, because they're the ones that decide, where the bank goes in the community, right? If a grocery store that wants to open up on one corner, if they can do it. Zoning. Really just thinking about how you build communities. I would highly recommend those types of experiences, whether it's an appointment, whether it's an internship. My office, we have interns. We would love to have you as an intern. In my official office, you can go to our website, underwood.house.gov. The application is live. And we're flexible, especially during COVID when we're all working remotely anyways. Or if you want to get involved in the campaign, right? We would love to have you join our campaign. And there's so many others running for office right now. So right now, all across our community, not just Naperville, people have to go vote on April 6th. Folks are running for mayor, they're running for city council, they're running for school board, they're running for all kinds of positions. They need volunteers. If you have ideas and you want to shape the direction of your community, why not get involved with a campaign? There's so many ways to be involved. And listen, nobody's going to turn you away. You know why? Because you are young, you have ideas, and you know how to work social media. And a lot of these folks do not know how to work social media. And they'll say things to me like, Lauren, how do we get the youth involved? I'm like, well, what is the youth? But you guys are. And, they would love to have you as volunteers too. So those are just a few ideas, but there's many different ways. And I also know that everybody can't work for free. So if you need to be paid, just be straightforward about that. Because many organizations like mine have budgets, and we can pay folks for the work that they do.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Underwood. We know your time is valuable, and we thank you for modeling your service to the community by giving us your time today. Thank you for sharing your experiences on mental health, finding opportunities, being impactful, and knowing that we are enough. We now have an in-depth meaning of what it means to be a first responder to our future. Thank you, and we wish you the best.
You too. Thank you. Good luck, ladies.
Bye.
And be in touch, please. Let us know how we can help.
We will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.